And so I was like, all right, so when am I going to propose? I hadn't got her parents' permission yet. So I was like, all right, well, I can't propose until I get her parents' permission. And then once I ask her parents' permission, I got to go do it. There's no stopping. So.
What's up, guys? It's me, Shane, with RS Weddings, and we're back here again today creating another specific look for a couple. So here we have an engagement session with Mary and Brandon. We are here at location 1 of 3, which is the Washington National Cathedral. We're in one of the gardens there. It's absolutely beautiful. And you know, here we have a shot straight out of camera. It looks very good, looks very nice. But to give you guys just a little bit of a background on the theme for this, Mary has a book from the On the Run 2 tour from Beyonce and Jay-Z. So that drew a lot of the inspiration for a lot of the shoots. So what I want to do with some of their images, not all, but a lot of their images, is I want to emulate those looks. And going through the book, you could really tell that there were a lot of desaturated shots. There were a lot of natural light shots. There wasn't a lot of flash. What else? Everything was on, specifically on location. Like, it was really cool flipping through that book. A lot of the looks that I liked, though, it seemed like they were shot on film or just, like they were given a very filmish type of look. It was very vintage in a lot of those shots. So I want to create some of that mood in their shots, and I figured I would walk you guys through it. So, jumping right into Lightroom, the first thing that I want to do is I really want to warm this image up somewhere around here. Let me dial it in. Just dial in 5, 6. Yeah, somewhere around there. Okay, and that's looking good for the white balance. I want to change the tint just a little bit. Let's see, if we go up, that's way too magenta-y. Let's bring it down. Somewhere in between 12 and 17. Let's just dial this into 14. All right, and looking at the image off the top, it looks a little dark, especially in our histogram here. It looks a little dark, so let's bump this up. Maybe not a full stop, but to my eye, about right there is good. It looks bright, but it's not too bright. For the contrast for this, to start, I'm gonna take it down, and we're gonna add some back later. But I really do like working with less contrast to start. Let's see, highlights, we want to take those down. Not too far, because I don't want them to look grayish. Let's say about there. Shadows, we want to pump those up about there. And let's do the whites at a -44. I'm thinking. Or maybe like a -50. Somewhere in there. 47 is cool. And then blacks. To get this image where I really want it, I'm going to pump this up. So what I've done so far is I've kind of created a flat image, right? I've definitely created a flat image. So everything, it looks kind of hazy right now, but trust me, guys, we're going to get there. We're definitely going to get there. For the presence, I don't really want to touch it too much. So let's just say -5 on the clarity, just because it is an engagement session and you want to soften everything up, right? The saturation, I want to take this away for right now because I also want to deal with that later in a different way. So here we are. I've basically just manipulated my raw file to look more like a raw file and less like a processed file, if that makes sense to you guys. So what I really want to start doing is I really want to work with the curves. And that's how we're going to get a lot of our film look. So the first thing I'm going to do is on our main curve, I'm going to bring this up, say about 34, 35, 33 is cool on the output. All right, then I'm going to drag this down back to around its original line. maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I'm going to drag up my midpoint back to, what is it, 125, 125? I could dial it in. No, 128. There we go. Just to make sure that we have our midpoint straight. Then I want to bring down the highlights a little bit. I'm also going to bring down the whites as well. And I know it looks weird, man. It really does look weird. Matter of fact, this is starting to look good. I'm going to reset my contrast here. Give me a little better of an indication of where I want to go here. In fact, let's just bump it up. There we go. That's starting to look real good. So it's still got a nice overall fade, and it's still desaturated, very much so. So now I want to go into my red channels, and let's see. With the colors, you don't want to do too much. Again, let's create our midpoint. Ooh, look at that, spot on, 128, 128. I'm going to drag my highlights down just a bit, almost so that it's matching this curve here. And then even in the shadows, did I say highlights? I'm sorry, I meant shadows. And then a little bit more in the deeper darks. I want to put some cyan in there. And then just a little bit of red back into the highlights. All right, that'll take care of red. Let's go to magenta, and I really want to almost copy it, what I just did. So I'm going to follow this curve here and bring that down just a tad. I'm going to make my midpoint. Type in my 128s. And again, just going up just a little bit. There. Okay. All right. I'm going to add just a little bit more magenta into the shadows here. There we go. That's looking good. All right. So for my blue channel, it's going to be a little bit more exaggerated in the blue channel, just because this is also pretty much your white balance. So again, making sure we have our midpoint at 128. I'm going to drag this down, way down further. Maybe even straighten this curve just a little bit. Have it more a little bit more of a parabolic curve. I think that looks good. And then let's add some coolness into the highlights. All right. And so here you can get a sense of our before and after with the tone curve. You see we added a lot more color back into it. But it's not quite there. It's not quite where we want it. So the next thing that I really want to do, let me turn this back on. The next thing that I really want to do is I want to further enhance these colors. So let's move down to hue saturation. And currently it's on HSL. I'm going to hit color so I can, I can look at each color's hue, saturation, and luminance together as I'm going through this. Red, I'm already liking the red tones from the flowers and the dress in here. So, I might tweak. I don't want to tweak it too much. See, as you can see, I can really change the whole color of the dress there. But let's say like +9 is good. And I'm not going to mess with any of the primary saturations too much, because there's also another place where I want to mess with this too. You have tons of places to change your colors in Lightroom, so it's pretty cool. Hue, the orange is really messing with their skins and the bricks, so I'm not going to do too much with it. I'm thinking maybe something like right about there. That's looking good. And then, she looks a little, like their skin looks a little bit too bright. So let's add a little bit of saturation in there. There we go. I want to change the luminance at all. Not really. Let's say -5. Let's see, our yellows. What are we affecting? So we're mostly affecting the plants. And I do want to desaturate those. Quite a bit, actually. Get a good amount of that yellow out of there. Yeah, I think that looks good. Not going to touch the hue or the luminance here. For greens, I kind of like where they're at, especially for the look that we're going for, this desaturated fade. So I don't know, maybe I'll take the greens down even a little bit more, a little further, kind of to match the yellows a little bit. Let's see. It's still a little bright. I want the couple to pop from the green because they are surrounded by greens. So let's drop the luminance down a little bit. Yeah, let's drop the luminance down. Okay. Aqua. Pretty sure that I have some aquas in the skies. So. It's faint. It's faint. So, you know, we'll play with it. Matter of fact, yeah, we'll play with it. Let's say that about there. And nothing really going on with that. But if I do see any aquas, let's take them down a little bit. Let's darken those up. But what we really want to play with is the blues because we have this beautiful blue sky, right? So, you know, you can definitely change the mood or the feel of an image by changing out the blues in the sky. So when I'm thinking something a little bit more aquish, a little more teal, I really do like the teal look in the sky, especially like bouncing off of the red and the contrast of the red down here below. So we'll put the hue about right there. We'll say give it a little bit of saturation, just give it some punch, you know, and we'll take it down. Darken it up a bit. There we go. I think that looks good. Purple. You messing with purples too much? Yeah, there's some purples in the sky, so still with that. Not too much though. Definitely don't want it darker blue. I'm thinking just something slight. Definitely don't want to mess with the saturation. I don't want any purples in the sky either, so let's leave it at like -4 is cool. And I might want to brighten it up a bit because that transition it was a little harsh. So brightening up the luminance just a bit works. And I think that's good. I'm tweaking the magentas just a little bit here. It's messing with a few of the flowers. Yeah, I might work with it just a tad bit. Let's see. All right, so that looks good. Split toning, I'm not gonna touch. Rarely ever do I touch split toning. All right, details, sharpening. One of the things that I like to do, you hold down Option and you drag your masking. I typically go for around 50, 60. Just so that what this does is it limits where the sharpening happens. I really don't want to add any sharpening to the sky. I really want it to be on the finer details of the image. So I typically put it anywhere between 50 and 60. The sharpening out of camera automatically was at 40, so that's cool. Matter of fact, let's dumb the sharpening down just a bit. What you can do is you can click here on this tool and then click on a part of the image where you want it to go, and then you can really get this 100% zoom in. So let's see, we were at 40. Definitely don't want to go to 0, but I don't want to over sharpen it either. So let's do like 56, 55, 56. Noise reduction, I don't want to do any noise reduction because I actually want to add some grain and some noise into this. This is already looking good, but we really want to get that film look, right? So I think we're good in the details. I don't want to do any lens corrections here. So that takes us to transform. We're not going to transform anything. This looks good. Post-crop vignette. I'm checking my corners. They're a little dark, so just to even it out just a tad bit, you know, do +6. Let's see. Now the grain. We definitely want to talk about grain. So because we are shooting digitally these days, I would rather have a clean shot and then add my own pizzazz, my own grain to this. If that makes sense. I'm noticing something down here. Like the vignette is a little too strong, so I'm gonna bring it back a little bit. Say like +3. So yeah, I would rather add my own grain when shooting digitally. If you're shooting with film, the grain is natural. It's perfect. So I really want to pump this up. I feel like this vintage style of look is making the rounds right now, so might as well get in on it, right? I'm thinking 40 is good. Looking into the highlights and shadows and sky, 40 looks really good there. Let's see, do we want to change the size at all? I don't want it to be too much. I do still want this to be printed and look kind of good. I think 14 is good on the grain there. And we'll leave the roughness at 50. Okay. Now there's the last area, which is calibration. You can kind of play with your colors here as well. So let's see. I know we didn't play too much with the reds, but I really want that red to kick off the dress, right? I really want that red to pop. I'm gonna drop the hue just a little bit. Matter of fact, what do we do up here? We put it at +9. We dropped it down to 6, so we might as well just put it at +3. But the calibration is a little bit different than the HSL sliders. So, yeah, we're gonna add in that saturation here. I'm thinking there. Make that red dress really pop, and these flowers around it, like stand out, just to add, contrast into the greenery. Speaking of greens, I think we're good in the greens, right? Just a little bit. The calibration sliders for the hues are a little bit more fine-tuned than the HSL sliders. This is really messing with the what is it called? The version, or something like that. It's like the version of the file and stuff behind it. So I think that's well. That's good. The greens are also, like the hues of the greens also mess with the sky. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm also taking that into an account. These are more like, if you work in Photoshop, these are more like your channels, your red, green, and blue channels. So, it will affect the overall image. So I'm thinking about +31 is good. And yeah, I think that will do it. So once again, guys, I'm gonna create this preset. I think I'm gonna call it the Carter's Vintage, because Brandon's last name is Carter and they're going to be the Carters. So once again, congratulations to Mary and Brandon on their engagement. Had a super fun time shooting with them. And yeah, can't wait to see you guys' wedding. And can't wait to be a part of the wedding, But that's gonna do it for me, guys. Make sure you guys are following us at RS Weddings LLC. Make sure that you guys check us out on YouTube for more stuff like this, behind the scenes footage and such. And be on the lookout for more things from Mary and Brandon's engagement session. That'll do it for me, guys. Until next time. Peace.
Like her birthday came, which on a Sunday, we took off that Monday. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it today. So called both her parents. Both of them gave me the approval, of course. It was real nice, real sweet and everything. And then from there, I had told her, I was like, hey, we're both old today. It's your birthday, it was yesterday. Let's grab the camera and let's go all the spots that we first met at on U Street, and where we had like our first date. And so I was doing it on U Street, and I was like, that's not really appropriate. And so I was like, I'll do it. There's this park where we had our first kiss. So he went over there, we started recording. I was like, hey, I set my phone up in this little tripod in the park, and I was just like, hey, let's talk about our first date. So while she was in there talking about it, I grabbed the ring, got on one knee, and I was like, will you marry me? And of course she said,
And she was like, yeah.
oh my gosh, Brandon, are you serious? Are you for real?
That's a cute story. That's a cute story.